I'm forever blowing bubbles, pretty bubbles in the air. They fly so high, they reach the sky, and like my dreams, they fade and die. Those words, yeah, they still get me in the heart. They still get tears in my eyes sometimes. Well, most days, yeah. But by the words of the great Max Bygraves, let me tell you a story. Yeah, and we're going to go back quite a few years. This may be a two-parter, by the way. Anyway, because I do babble on. Right, let's go back to the Brown days. Yeah, the Brown family owned West Ham, owned Upton Park. Yeah, we had zero debt, zero problems. We had the academy boys. Yeah, I mean, we still go on about the academy boys and the other guys that were around them. Yeah, I mean, we had a fantastic team back then, but that was it. We had 11 players. The Browns had no ambition. Yeah, the Browns weren't forward thinking. The Browns were more a business family than they were a football family. Yeah, and we were screaming out to them that we want more. And then all of a sudden, in 2003, with all these fantastic players like Joe Cole, Trevor Sinclair, Paolo Di Canio, Michael Carrick, just to name a few. Some players had just been had well been sold off, because that was one of the Browns' things: sell the players while they could earn them some money. Yeah, where have I heard that before? Yeah. Anyway, 2003, we went down 42 points, and probably the best team to ever go down. And literally, we were devastated. And the Browns sold virtually every player that could kick a football. Literally, to anybody and everybody. Yeah? To recoup the finance problem that they was going to have being in the championship. I mean, you can't call it a springback, because it wasn't exactly easy. But anyway, due to fans' pressure and fans screaming, lucky enough, back then, there weren't so much social media. But due to fans screaming, fan pressure, and the media, the Browns sold West Ham to an Icelandic consortium. Yeah? A banker and a biscuit man, basically. And they had ambition. They had money. They had goal. Yeah. Look what mess they made. We had Tevez and Mascherino come in. We thought we were the boys. Look at the team now we're going to get. Yeah. They brought in players whose wages were far more than we could afford. Yeah. I mean, going back to the Tevez bit, third party ownership, dodgy dealings all over the place. Players were bought from money that was in offshore accounts. Players' wages were paid by offshore accounts into other offshore accounts that went to the other offshore account. There were so many dodgy dealings. It was lucky we wasn't kicked down to the blooming Southern Leagues, let alone anything else. Yeah, we got a £5.5 million fine for playing Tevez and Mascherino, mainly Tevez. Yeah, who was a hero. Yeah, but then at the end of the season, Tevez kept us up. On the last day, a goal against Manchester, and we thought, yes. And then we got a £20 million. Well, it was not exactly a fine, but we got sued for £20 million and lost against Sheffield United. Yeah, because an illegal player kept us up. Yeah, and then came the financial meltdown. I mean, we was about a month away from bankruptcy and asset stripped by the Icelandic banks, because these two idiots that owned us, sorry about that, these two idiots that owned us borrowed money from all the different banks they could, so-called billionaires, but borrowed money. And we ended up in a right financial mess. Yeah, a total financial mess. Yeah, we'd lost all our players. We'd lost all our dignity, really, even though we stayed up. I felt more proud of West Ham when we went down with 42 points and then we're staying up 1 point and getting all these fines and all these dodgy dealings, and then all of a sudden the financial problems, we couldn't even afford to pay the tea lady. Yeah, I think they would have sold her if she had any value to anybody else. Yeah, I mean, we was in a right financial mess, as I said, and historians have said we was about a month away from being kicked out of the Premiership, being bankrupt, and all our assets, our training ground and everything else being sold off. Imagine if that would have happened. Imagine what of a problem we would have had. And then came Gold and Sullivan. Now they basically saved West Ham. Yeah? For them saving West Ham, I think we owe them a debt of gratitude. They invested their own money, which was a very big risk. They didn't borrow money. They lent us money as well. They lent the business of West Ham money. But they still took a very big risk, because lending money to a company, basically, that was just nearly bankrupt. If we would have gone down in the first 2 seasons of their ownership, they would have lost everything. Yeah? They would have had nothing. So it was a risk for them. And back then it was like 50 odd million. Yeah? But they also went into the finances and sorted out the dodgy payments and that were going out here, there and everywhere, and basically sorted out our finances, which is what we really needed. We needed another good, steady ship. Yeah? Yeah, a bit like when, I mean, in a way, I think Gold and Sullivan read the Brown book. Steady leadership. Yeah? They got us out the hole. They paid off people that shouldn't have been there. They basically, business-wise, yeah? Business-wise, they really did save us. Yeah. They went for the same sort of ethos in a way. Business before glory. Because that's what we've got now. Business before glory. On the books, we look like a very, very good business. But they have no ambition. They have no glory. They sell players as soon as they think there's a profit in them. Yeah? The same as the Browns did. But it steadied the ship. Now we're all screaming, we want someone with ambition. We want some billionaires to take us over. Yeah, look what happened last time. So we have to be careful in a way. I'm not sticking up for Sullivan. Believe me, I'm not sticking up for Sullivan. But he is a West Ham supporter. But is a West Ham supporter that also supports his pocket. Yeah? He won't do anything unless, all right, he won't spend money without looking well into what's going on. He deals with the transfers himself and he hasn't got a bloody clue. But it's his money. That's the problem. Yeah, he looks at the West Ham, it's my money. I don't want to lose my money. I don't want to waste my money. And when he does that, he ends up losing money and wasting money. Yeah, because he hasn't got a bloody clue what's going on. So what we need, what do we need? Do we want a great investor to come in, shower us with money, but then worry whether, Sullivan's been quoted in saying he would only sell to someone like a Saudi king that's got the ambition to take West Ham higher than he can take them. Well, someone like a Saudi king doesn't come without clouds as well and problems. You look at even Chelsea there, the Russian billionaires buying them, and they ended up in trouble. You look at Man U, they were so desperate to let, I can't think of his bloody name now. I've got it written down and left me pad downstairs. They let Ratner, whatever his name is, buy into them, and he's laid off most of the staff. Yeah, the team was in a great deal of turmoil. They had no ambition themselves, but now they seem to be steadying out this season. Let's see how it goes. It's only early, but anyway, less about them. More about West Ham. What do we really need? We've had some bids over the last 18 months. There's been about 2 or 3. They all make Sullivan a lot of money, but not as much as he wants. He's going to want a minimum of 700 to 800 million. Yeah? Which we are probably worth it on the books. Because as a business, we are making him quite a bit of money each week. Yeah? We're making him money with the stadium. We're making him money with... Well, basically, we're just making him money. So why would he sell? Yeah. We'll get that one on part 2, I think. We'll go from why would Sullivan, or what can we do with Sullivan and the team now? But this is just... Those words I sang at first. I'm forever blowing bubbles. Yeah? They fly so high. They reach the sky. Then, like my dreams, they fade and die. I don't want West Ham to fade and die. Yeah? So I just worry that maybe we should be cautious on what we ask for. Maybe we should not put up with Sullivan, but he listened to us earlier. But anyway, part 2 for this one. Yeah? Okay, bye-bye.